Hello friends, welcome to Third Stall Garage. My name is Doug. Third Stall channel is about the restoration of classic cars, shop improvements, kind of proving that any DIY guy, girl with a willingness to try can accomplish great things. Today's episode is going to be about the installation of an electric hoist in my shop. In a previous episode, you saw me restore a budget 1-ton hoist. Right now it's got my lawnmower engine hanging from it. Love the way it works, installed an I-beam. I really wanted to try an electric hoist with a remote so that I can use it to pick engines on cars and stuff without having the chain hanging in the way, and be able to push a button maybe safely from a distance, or while I tighten bolts or move things and stuff like that. So if you like things like this, please hit subscribe, and if you've got comments, questions, post that below. Let's see how this works out. So I ended up buying a Vevor PA 800 hoist. It is rated for 400 pounds, 800 if you double the capacity of it by using the block and tackle. That should be plenty enough for what I'm going to be lifting in my shop with it. Reviews online were, for a budget winch, or hoist, it's worth the money that you pay for it. There are a couple comments of them not working. The main negative comment I heard was that the instructions were horrible and there's no way to mount the box on it. By the way, this box is huge. I did open it up, and there's a lot of air in there, but it's the relay starters and the receiver for the remote. It does come with a slick little remote, which is kind of nice. It's a little boxy and awkward, but it works. So I've got it plugged in. I just tested it when I bought it. So I hit the start button. Kind of loud, but it works. To stop, to turn it off. This is a little over travel switch, so if this piece pulls up too far, it shuts it off. Pretty simple operation. Some of the complaints were that it's quite loud. I don't think it's unreasonably loud. One of the first things that I noticed is that they're right. There is no way to mount this box. It does have 3 mounting tabs or threaded inserts in the back. The bag of parts came with 2 little bolts that do fit the threads on the back of the box, but there are no mounting holes for this thing anywhere. So most of the pictures I saw seem to have the box mounted on the side here. That would make sense to keep the cords away from the hoist. So I think what I'm going to do is, I started here and then remembered I forgot to record it. I'm going to drill 2 holes and try to see if I can get those bolts in from behind and tighten them up on the side there. That'll be the first project. Second project is to figure out how I'm going to build my trolley onto the back of this so I can hang it from my I-beam. All right, so this is an interesting challenge. Challenge number 1 is when I drilled the 1/4-inch hole, there was no way to get the bolt to go underneath to come up. I don't know where the solution's gonna go, but we'll figure this out by hook or by crook. I forgot to mention, these are like 150, 160, 170 bucks on Amazon. I think I saw them as low as 140. Harbor Freight sells them, I think, as well. They're similar import models. I picked mine up on Facebook Marketplace from, I think it was a couple guys that buy truckloads of extra equipment and then sell them. I got mine for 80 bucks, so I don't have a whole lot invested into this. So my next thought is if I cut this as a slot, so I cut the edges out, hopefully you can see that. Then I can put the screw into the box, then slide it in and tighten it from the back. I gotta cut my slot a little wider. And attach that way. Problem number two is I go to put these screws in the box and they thread in nicely, but they stick out almost a half an inch. Yeah, about a half an inch. And the screw bottoms out in the hole, so there's no way to thread it in more than that, which means there's no way that it's gonna clamp tight on my little 1/8 inch steel plate that's here. So I think the screws going in the vice grip and going over to the bench grinder, and we're going to shorten up this screw bolt. We're going to shorten up this bolt. All right, so I think that worked. I shortened the bolt up by grinding it down. Got a washer in there. Now I need to figure out where to drill the other hole. I'm going to mark on this box black on black. That's really good. I won't notice that later or when I need to see it. Kind of where that threaded hole is. Mark this in place. I like how that fits kind of flush with the bottom. Don't try this at home, folks. Thing doesn't like to sit flush. And true to form, the reason I can't see the mounting hole marks is because I marked this hole. I need to mark this hole. All right, roll this puppy on its side a little bit. Now I can see my black on black. Be cool if it was blue on black. It's a great song. All right, so I'm looking at one corner of it's there. Now it's black on black in a shadow. All right, and that gives me 2 marks. I should be able to take this mark, cross it with this mark. X marks the spot to drill a hole. And then it won't be exactly right, and I'll drill it a little bit larger, and it still won't quite fit. I'll drill a little bit larger, and then I'll put a big washer on it. That's my prediction. We'll see what happens. Let's drill a hole. All right, I am curious. I'm gonna have to shorten this bolt too, but I am curious as to whether I'm gonna be able to get this bolt in. I am, and then I can tighten it from the bottom. that'll work. All right, off camera, I'm gonna grind this shorter, and then we'll be able to mount this up. All right, so this is gonna be thrilling to watch. I have my now small ground down bolt. The head of it's 10 millimeter. So I need to stick this guy up through this hole. Like such. And then figure out how to tighten it. Into there without dropping it. All right, I'm gonna work on this for a little while. Not sure how to do that. So I got the bolt in. What I ended up doing was setting on its side. That way gravity wasn't fighting me, and then I could reach down through here with a wrench to turn it, while with my finger I reached in from the view of the camera, the direction the camera's facing, to kind of hold it in place. Looking down, you can see the bolt head right down there. The next challenge that I now have is, here's my front bolt, which is pretty close to lining up with the slot, but as I try to rotate it in, my slot goes straight up and down, but my bolt swings an arc. So I think I need to grind that slot a little farther open, which means I got to take that bolt back out. Oh, this is so much fun. All right, the box is on. Worked moderately as planned. A couple reactions. This wasn't intended to be a review of this, but I got it on. It's mounted securely. There's no possible way that can be how they intended you to do it. That was a pain in the rear. It's on securely. What's going to bug me is the fact that this isn't perfectly flush, but that's just the retentive side of me. All right, so next is figuring out the mounting for it. Originally it came with these two brackets and a set of bolts and washers to bolt that on. I have an I-beam on my ceiling that I plan to hang this from, and I plan to use these bearings as trolley wheels so that the hoist can trolley back and forth on my I-beam. How am I gonna do that? I don't know yet. Let's figure it out. So for building the trolley on the top of this, I've got these bearings I bought off Amazon pretty cheaply. I bought an 8-pack of them. It's the same bearings I used on my trolley for the chain fall. You can see up there, I built this trolley. That's a separate video. So I plan on using those same bearings on this. They were dirt cheap. I think they're made for wheelbarrows and such. So they're sealed. They're not real light load. They do have a little flange on the side to keep them centered on the I-beam. So I thought about getting 2 pieces of angle iron that would come up. I couldn't find any angle iron in my scrap bin. I'm too lazy to drive down to the steel yard, and steel is so expensive lately. I'm gonna see if I can hack these apart and maybe make some angle brackets out of this. You know, maybe something along those lines. If it doesn't work, I'm out a little bit of time and no money, so let's see what happens. So I want to drill 2 1/2-inch holes through the top of this to mount my pulleys, but I want the holes to be the same height from this surface. So I'll try to put a little slop in the holes so I can adjust them afterwards. I don't want the thing to rock on the I-beam. So here's what I'm going to try. They're both sitting flat together. I'm going to try to clamp them. They're still a little warm. Clamp them together in a vice grip. So they're both now flat, and now I will drill that hole at the same time in the drill press. So now I've got 4 of these made. Simply bolt them to the threaded holes. There's a nut welded in on the back side of this steel plate, or I think it's riveted in with a tack weld or something. You have a nice view of my ratchet, sorry about that, but bolting this guy in. Almost there, like such, and then I will put a half-inch bolt. Will go through my bearing. Then I got a large plastic washer that I actually cut out of the top of a Rubbermaid tub. That'll go through there. And then I have a 1/2-13 jam nut or lock nut or anti-vibration nut or whatever you want to call them, so they don't wiggle loose. So the large plastic washer is, if it goes slightly sideways on the trolley at all, then this plastic washer will be a quiet wear surface against the I-beam. I don't know if that's needed, but we'll give that a try. So 1 on, 3 to go. So I've got all 4 of them on. I got a little adjusting to do. This one looks like it's angled a little bit that way. These 2 aren't directly pointing at each other. So I think a lot of that I can, sorry, I'm trying to just grab this and turn it a little bit. That looks a little better. It's pretty tight. Now and that way, this one a little bit. It's looking a little better. So I think what I might do next is, how's my measurement looking? 2.5. That one might be a touch tight. I may need to take this washer out to slide the brackets out a little bit. I think I need to do that. All right, I'm kind of excited about the way this is coming out. Let me climb up on my OSHA-approved stool and so here's how the bearings or trolley sits. That one's sitting nicely. If you notice, I don't know if you can see this. This back trolley there is sitting up off of the I-beam ever so slightly. So I'm gonna loosen up this bolt and this bolt on all 4 of them to try to get the whole thing to relax so that all 4 bearings are touching the I-beam, and then I'll tighten it back up again. Hopefully she'll sit flush then. One of the things I was reflecting on later with the design of this, and I'm filming this after the fact and throwing it back in the middle, so I'm sorry if I'm giving anything away, is this bracket that I used to hang from before was a hoop that was meant to go over top of a pole or something. So it tied the left side to the right side together. And if I were to lift a really heavy load with this, I would hate to have this upper leg of the bracket start to flex out. I don't think that's gonna happen. It's pretty strong. I do have a load on it now, or will lift a load, and you can just see whether they move or not. The whole thing wiggles a little bit as the load wiggles, but I don't really see flex in those. I think if I do worry about it, I might weld a little gusset in here just to give it more horizontal support. Some of you may have that concern as you watch this. I did later. I think I've alleviated my fears about it. Hi, sorry to quick interrupt this video about the electric hoist. I'm filming this later, months later, a couple months later. I've used the hoist a half dozen times. It's been awesome. I went to lift up the engine out of my daughter's Subaru, and the bracket that I mounted the wheel on, the bearing on, bent. You can see that one is still perpendicular to the hoist, and this one flexed. I think that was because it wasn't pulling on center, and the hoist wanted to tip a little bit. I was pulling a little bit off center. Long and short of it, this is not strong enough. So I'm gonna rebuild that, try to splice it into the original video. These are the clamps that held up the I-beam that I installed in my shop. I'm gonna cut this chunk out and this chunk out. I think that's about 5/16 thick, and put one across here, one across there, and then weld up tabs from these end feet to mount the pulleys on. And I think that will be much stronger. The reason I'm going all the way across here is because then this plate, this red plate, will mount to the bottom of that bracket, and any flexing motion won't cause this red plate to flex. Let me show you what I came up with. Once I welded these legs in, I could not access the bolt holes, so I welded it. If I ever need to get it off, just do a lot of grinding, or I'll buy a plasma cutter. Not a perfect red match, but good enough. Paint's got to dry, and we'll put the bearings in and continue on where we were. I wanted you to have this update to know that the way I originally did it wasn't strong enough. All right, time for the last step of this. I need to run power to the hoist. You know, I've got two really critical choices. I didn't want to go out and buy a new electrical cord. I've got a lot of extension cords. Do I use my extra camping one? That's a good 12 gauge. It's yellow. Might match my budget hoist on the ceiling. Do I cut up my good black one, which matches the current cord? It's really an aesthetics question. I don't know, yellow, black. Black looks more industrial, yellow, I don't know, tough decisions. I did buy 14 gauge steel wire that I'm going to use some lag screws, and I'm gonna run that along the length of my I-beam, and then hopefully curly cue the power cord so as the hoist moves along it stretches and pulls apart, and then runs to the outlet that's by the garage door opener on the ceiling. So it's all up there, no cords hanging down. I don't need to run an extension cord and use it. So first step, I'm gonna run the steel wire, mount it, and then I'm gonna mess around with electrical cords. Didn't buy new wires, I didn't want to spend more money. Wire's hooked up on one side. I clamped the two areas and put my little eyelet in, and want to just spin the wire tight. Twist it. I twist it so it's nice and strong. We'll see if this works. Wrong way. That looks pretty good. Oops. Got a leg screw going into the joist with a stack of 8 washers to give me a little spacing. And then the camera doesn't like to really focus on it, but the steel wire runs all the way down that way. Turn the little U-buckle till the wire gets nice and tight. I'll hang the cord off that. All right, guys, this is a wrap on this project. I'm excited to show you the hoist in its final condition. I got the project wrapped up in a day. I bought the hoist for 80 bucks, $7 for wire and $2 for the little clips that go, random bolts and things like that I used here that I had. So less than 100 bucks into the whole project. Let's see what it looks like. So there's the hoist sitting on the end of the I-beam. It's plugged in, powered. It's next to my manual hoist. The cord runs along the ceiling. You can see it hangs on the little plastic hooks, or I forget what those are called. Wire ties, cable clamps, about every 2 feet, all the way to the other side, and then it's permanently attached to the ceiling and goes to the outlet there. So I am able to zoom back out. Let me grab the bottom of this. Wheels along, you can see the wire kind of coils itself up. I had to kind of tie the wire off with it looped. It just took a little fidgeting to get it to work right. On the ground of my garage is my lawnmower engine. So if I would want to pick that up, nifty little remote control. up she goes. Much faster than I thought. I thought it was going to be a lot louder and a lot slower. If I were lifting a, engine out of a car, I might want it slower, in which case then I might use this pulley tackle, and then this hook would go through the pulley around and itself would hook up here. So these two would swap places, and that would, double your lifting capacity and half your speed. Pretty happy with it. I have noticed if you really like your cable wound up neatly, you've got to kind of feed it. If you like it to go back and forth perfectly. But other than that, real happy with this project. Let's set her down. Even with it, real easy to move it around. So, all right. If you haven't yet, hit subscribe, leave a comment, question below. Have a great day. Be nice to one another. Sorry guys, one more thing. I got one part left over. Anybody know what this part's for? Looks like a hook goes in it and then slides down, or vice versa. Drive me nuts. Post a comment below and let me know if you know what this part's for. Have a great day. All right, little example for you as to why I was interested in having an electric hoist or the chain fall. Today's project, I'm working on my John Deere 318 mower. I need to install a repaired hydraulic line underneath it. In order to get the hydraulic line in, the way the engine's sitting right now, or the tractor's sitting right now, it needs to go up from the bottom, almost straight up, then rotate in, and then go underneath the length of it, and then twist and get mounted up. And so I can't get this up from the bottom with it sitting on the ground, so I need to lift it up. I did it before with a high lift jack and a friend holding it, but it's just me this morning. So this is where I wanted to have the hoist. It's the first project I've used it for. We'll see how it works. I like it. That is sweet and easy. Have a great day. Be kind, be nice. Take care. Thanks for being part of Third Stall Garage. There we go. Hydraulic line is installed. In case you're wondering, I would never crawl under that while it's lifted by a hoist and work on installing a hydraulic line, despite how efficient and quick and easy that might be. And the tractor is 100 pounds. This thing's rated for 800. No, I would never do that, especially if you're my wife watching. So here we go. Thanks for tuning in. There goes the carburetor.